There's a call buying frenzy in the market here, and we're going to talk about how Nvidia is positioned for earnings. Can the bulls break us out here? We'll get into that and more. Before we get into the close, we're also going to cover this live. Yes, we're going to do that live at Carnivore Trades. Link is in the pinned comment. That will be up there on the main channel. We're going to do a preview here really quick, though, and kind of wrap things up before we get into that, though. Markets here, absolute call buying frenzy right now. And we talked about 693 pre-market. If you caught the live stream in the morning, we gave out this level, just for free here. And yeah, we're at 693. We also talked about 614, 615 QQQ. And we're past that. So 616 now. And there is some call interest up there at 617 even. However, I think we're probably about done for the day. It's almost power hour time. SPX here at 69.50. That is a big macro target. Another level we talked about here, and I've been tweeting about this all day, 61.62 ES, that is hitting right now. And I mentioned that pre-market right there, your 786, 61.62 to 64. So right into the 69.50 area on the cash S&P. Breadth here, flattish, but we talked about that in the short this morning. I don't need breadth to be super positive when NQ is ripping higher. That's kind of what we've been wanting to see here. And now you have a position here where, technical positioning, we talked about this is paramount, is much better into Nvidia. What do I mean by that? Right. You are getting hot now on the RSI. We'll talk about this trend line in a second. You are getting hot in the RSI, but things get hot for a reason typically, especially in bull moves. But the thing is here, if we start to sell, there's a ton of space now. There's a ton of space for a higher low. Whereas if we hadn't had this rally, this is why, it's like, it sounds counterintuitive. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but like you actually kind of wanted to rally a little bit into this because, it's like, well, it's a sell the news. Right? If it's a sell the news though, there's a lot of room here though. If you were down here still, or down here, we'd just barf. If Nvidia missed, we would just barf. And now there's plenty of space for buyers to pick this up. So that, and honestly, I expect a retrace. I fully expect a retrace here at some point. And we are coming into that blue trend line there. That is the bull market trend line. So bears, this is kind of like your last stand here, if you ask me, at least right now. Clock is ticking, like I said. Institutional hedges, it's very expensive for them to hold hedges here when the market's not going down. VIX here, that took a dump today down at 18. There should be a little support there at 18 from what I can see dealer wise. But yeah, this market's in, there's a massive call buying frenzy here. And of course, we will talk about Nvidia as the title suggests here. I will show you right now. There is some volume picking up at 210 and 215. And that is GEX volume. So that is not, so if you're not familiar, this isn't just call volume, right? A 2-cent option could have 10,000 contracts on it, but that means nothing. This is GEX volume, meaning that the market maker has gamma exposure at that level. So the volume there is significant enough to cause and force hedging. Now, am I calling for a breakout to 215? Could you imagine that would be absolute massive pain here. And I've talked about this the last couple of days, last week. There is a massive right tail in this market that traders are not prepared for. And we're starting to see that now. Hedges coming off State of the Union. It looks like they're going to defer the Iran thing right now. That's what it's starting to look like. And if Nvidia just goes to 200, this market will be in good shape. Again, that opens the door for a retrace. You got some air to fill out here on the NQ, but again, and right there, that's the obvious level. But again, 1.37% on the NQ, right? Spider is up, ES up 82, Dow up 61, and RTY up 63. NASDAQ is leading. That is the important thing. That's what's been missing from this market here for quite a while. So we don't care that RSP is like flattish to positive. That's not that important here. What's important is software is bouncing, and we're seeing XLP to XLK back off of this weekly pivot point, right? And we're seeing IWM divided by QQQ back off of this weekly pivot point, right? That is a positive for the market here. Microsoft, right? I've talked about this. This is the, it's a low beta stock. No, people don't generally think of Microsoft as making a difference, but it does. It makes a difference. It's a $4 trillion company, and 2.4% for Microsoft's a big move. That's a liquidity grab, classic RSI divergence here, and that's a failed breakdown right there on MSFT. Assuming it holds 395 by the close, maybe it backs off, but seeing a lot of other things here. Netflix failed bear flag here. Weekly 50% fib holding. So, we're seeing a lot of these things start to wake up. IGV, we talked about software again. Beautiful failed breakdown there. Absolute beautiful, right? That's exactly what you want to look for. We talked about this as well. Chips, new all-time highs. Don't be short the market. So I think this is kind of your last stand here for bears. Volatility just getting pounded. It's a vol crush. And the fact of the matter is, none of the macro stuff, may or may not go away, but it's a math thing. And that's a really big concept to get your head around sometimes, but it's really just, do you want to lose money or do you want to make money? And when your hedges are killing you, you don't want to lose money, right? So you got to get rid of those. And that causes these moves. So right now, 69.50 here, right into that area. Dude, if Nvidia does go to 215, you realize we're going to gap up to all-time highs, right? Just so you know. I'm not exaggerating that. Like, that will happen. Now, again, like, we were pretty hot here. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but, I mean, it's not impossible. Like, believe it or not, it's not impossible. I've seen stranger things happen before. There is a huge right tail in this market here. And, again, we talked about how the clock is ticking. And I think, spiders gapping above the 50 and the 20, right? That's a sign of strength. QQQ, trying to close back above the 50. So they got to do it here. Now, could they slam it down? I mean, if you get in engulfing tomorrow and you close down here, well, yeah, then you got something to say. But even then, my whole point though is that, again, with the positioning here, there's space now for buyers to regroup. So I don't think you really wanted this necessarily. And again, like, if bears are strong, why didn't they just barf it? Why didn't they just puke it out? They had everything they wanted. You had the bear flag. So we'll see what happens here. But I think there's a big fat right tail, and we're already starting to see it. Possibly the start of a lockout rally. I would like to see a good dip, though. We'll talk about that in the live stream, and maybe there's a level to get into. But I'm right now just holding runners and just de-risking on the way up, and we've been done a very good job off of the lows here. Again, jump in while you can. There's only a couple days left on the sale here. It's $40, and I mean, it could have been paid off like 1,000 times over here. Just this week alone even. But anyway, we'll see what we get here. SMH, IGV, transports down a little bit. XHB got hit. That's fine. TLT is flat. I think, yeah, IYR hanging in there. XLF here, again, failed breakdown there. That got defended. Everybody's throwing themselves off a cliff over financials, but they're hanging in there. And I said, watch HYG. It's not really wavering yet. KRE holding the 50-day. Broker dealers here holding that 200-day. Oil, quiet here. I think oil, and here's the thing, even with the geopolitical fears here, I still like oil. The geopolitical fears kind of going away. Oil's only down, I mean, it's like flat. Is that right? Or that must be because of the COMEX. Yeah, that must be due to the COMEX, because it's saying it's up a penny, but it's, either way, it's still inside here. But yeah, I mean, and watch too, if they do announce a deal, if this puts in a higher low, this could get explosive. But I do think you are going to see, like I said, XLP slow down, XLV slow down, XLE slow down, XLI looks a little toppy here, XLB, right? These other sectors that have benefit from that rotation. I think they will, XHB, right? I think they're starting to cool off here if tech gets that bit, specifically software. Yeah, XOP, OIH. OIH still a tank. It's still buying frenzy in that. Dollar index here, flat, so no real changes. Still got resistance at 98. Gold was up nicely again, so a nice little rebound. And this is trying to flag here, as is silver. Continues to make a higher high. So we've been calling for this higher low here in silver, and we've gotten that. Still SLV, still waiting for that 85. We'll see if we can get there. maybe tomorrow. I don't think it's going to go much past that, but it may even close the week at 80 bucks, but daily chart still looks good. New contract too. Sometimes those can get funky for a day. Platinum, very nice move there. Beautiful break above the moving averages. Same thing with palladium. Again, new contract. So just take it with a grain of salt. And then copper, also new contract, but again, back above the moving averages. Lastly, before we wrap up here, I got a lot to do here in the next hour or so. But yeah, Bitcoin, again, like this is kind of exactly what we thought would happen, right? That if this tries to break down, it's not going to last. You might make a new low, and then it's just gonna come right back up. So, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, we're right there. That was the prior high. You know, these stuff, assets have memories, right? That's a big level. We get above that, this should squeeze up. And all the alts are doing well too. Ethereum up 11.6, Sol up 13.9, Doge, DOT up 30, right? Big move there. Oh, and the market bellwether here, it's only down 92% now from the all-time high. But yeah, 15% today. But yeah, good move for Bitstunk. And yeah, we'll see what we get here. We'll be covering Nvidia. I would say right now, downside is probably 180. That's your left tail, and that would be a freaking massive. It would take a lot to get there, I think, at this point. The likely scenario is if we do try to, if this does moon, but it doesn't get all the way up there, it's going to pin to 200. But I would not really want to fight this here. You can always wait for sellers to come in and show up. But so far, they're kind of dropping the ball. So anyways, we'll wrap it up here. Again, come find me on carnivoretrades.com, and on the channel. We'll be covering that later today. Link will be in the pinned comment. You guys take care, and we'll see you guys all in a little bit.